The sky burned with colors no human had ever seen. From the blue and green of Earth to the crimson and violet that stretched above the alien ships, it was a sight that should have been beautiful, but it wasn't. Not to those who stood frozen on the fields below. Humans had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now, they were about to find out, and regret ever asking the question. The first ships arrived silently, like shadows falling from the stars. No alarms. No warning. One moment, the night sky was full of stars, and the next, massive vessels blotted out the moon. Each ship was bigger than any human imagination could hold, smooth and black, with lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. People called them observers, but no one dared approach. Lieutenant Mara James watched from the observation tower of the International Space Station, her hands gripping the rail so tightly her knuckles turned white. She had seen satellites, meteor showers, even the aurora borealis from this height, but nothing like this. The ships weren't moving like anything she'd learned in school. They hovered. They waited. It was as if the universe itself had paused to see what humans would do. "Lieutenant," her partner called through the comm, voice trembling. "You're seeing this too, right?" "I see it," Mara said, her voice steady, though her stomach twisted with fear. "And it's bad." No one knew what the ships wanted. Some said they came for resources. Others whispered about invasion. Mara didn't need a prediction to know they were dangerous. Fear is instinct, and her instincts screamed. Hours passed. Then, the ships began to descend. Slowly. They moved like predators circling prey. People on Earth watched on live broadcasts, frozen in horror. Cities went dark, communications failed, and electricity flickered as the aliens' presence disrupted everything. Governments scrambled jets and missiles, but the ships didn't move away. They didn't attack, not yet. They were studying. On Earth, a small town in Kansas became the epicenter of what no one could explain. Animals fled in every direction, dogs howling and birds taking flight in panic. People locked doors and prayed. Yet, the ships hovered above, casting enormous shadows that swallowed the streets whole. Mara watched as one of the vessels extended what looked like a tentacle of light, scanning the town below. It wasn't searching for humans, it was examining something deeper, something intangible. The scanning pulse hit the ground like a wave, and every electronic device in the town exploded silently, screens shattering, lights burning out. When the pulse passed, the town was empty, silent. The news tried to explain it. Words like evacuation and containment tumbled from anchors' mouths, but no one believed them. The truth was too horrifying. The humans were powerless. For the first time in history, Earth faced something it could not fight. And yet, among the fear and chaos, Mara noticed something. A flicker of movement inside one of the ships. A shape. It wasn't huge, but it was alive, or at least it behaved like it. It paused, tilted its form toward the observation tower as if it had seen her. Mara froze. For a moment, it felt like a silent greeting, or a warning. Then came the whispers. Not voices, not sounds, but thoughts. She couldn't explain it, but suddenly the idea of surrendering, of leaving everything behind, filled her mind. She shook her head violently, trying to escape it, but the thought clung to her like a shadow. She was not alone. The ships were not just machines. They were aware. They were intelligent. And they were deciding the fate of the planet. Back on the ground, people tried to flee, but every escape route was blocked by invisible barriers that shimmered like heat waves. Vehicles stalled. Roads disappeared under a strange, creeping darkness that seemed alive. Screams filled the air, echoing as if the universe itself was crying. Mara pressed herself to the cold glass of the observation tower. She felt small, insignificant, and yet, a tiny part of her burned with something stronger than fear, defiance. They had come to conquer. They had come to take. But she had a feeling that Earth would fight back in ways no alien could predict. Somewhere in the distance, the largest ship opened a doorway, or a mouth, it was hard to tell. Light poured out, blinding and white, reaching toward the planet like a hand. The towns, the cities, the forests, the oceans, everything was about to be tested. Humanity's patience, courage, and survival instincts would be pushed to the edge. And for Mara, and everyone watching, the nightmare was just beginning. Because sometimes, the universe gives exactly what you ask for, and worse. The morning after the first contact, Earth was a different world. Cities that had once bustled with life now lay in a tense silence, broken only by the low hum of alien ships hovering above. People peeked from windows and doors, afraid to move, afraid to breathe too loudly. The aliens had not attacked yet, but the fear in the air was worse than any weapon. Lieutenant Mara James stood on the observation deck, staring down at the city below. Smoke rose from broken power lines and abandoned vehicles, and a strange, shimmering darkness lingered where the alien energy had touched the ground. Mara had no idea what the aliens wanted, but instinct told her it was far worse than anyone imagined. The communications room buzzed with nervous chatter. Scientists, soldiers, and engineers worked frantically, trying to send messages, to figure out what they were dealing with. Every device failed as if the ships were swallowing technology itself. It was clear, these visitors didn't just want the planet, they wanted control of every living and mechanical system. Lieutenant, her colleague, Dr. Henrik Larsson, said, voice shaking. We've managed to get a small probe near one of the smaller ships. It's moving like it's alive. The readings are... I've never seen anything like this. Mara's heart pounded. Alive? You mean sentient? Dr. Larsson swallowed hard. Yes, or something very close to it. The probe is reporting thoughts, patterns, intentions. It's like the ship knows we're watching. The first approach teams on the ground were preparing for contact. Armed forces lined the streets, their weapons useless against technology they did not understand. And yet, humans moved forward, because leaving meant surrender, and no one wanted to give up their home without a fight. In Kansas, the first human encounter happened. A small team of soldiers entered the town that had been scanned by the ship. Buildings were broken, doors ripped from their hinges, and every machine, phones, cars, computers, had stopped working. Only one thing remained intact, the blackened ground where the scanning pulse had landed. Keep your eyes open, Captain Reynolds warned, voice tight with tension. We don't know what's waiting for us. Suddenly, the air shimmered, like heat waves rising from pavement. Then, the figure appeared. It moved without sound, without footsteps, almost like a shadow walking in daylight. Humans froze, unsure whether to attack or run. The alien wasn't huge, but its shape was wrong, elongated, with faintly glowing patterns running across its skin, moving and twisting like liquid. Mara watched through a drone feed, heart hammering. They can shape themselves, she whispered. The alien tilted its head, regarding the humans. And then, something strange happened. It spoke, not with words, but in thoughts, directly entering minds. Fear, confusion, and curiosity mixed together as the humans felt a cold presence inside their own heads. Why are you here? Captain Reynolds thought, though the words never left his mouth. The alien's presence was like ice flowing through their minds. Answers didn't come as words, but as feelings, hunger, desire, and a cold, calculating intent to dominate. The humans realized they were facing an intelligence beyond comprehension. Suddenly, one soldier fired his weapon. The bullets passed through the alien as if it weren't solid. Panic erupted. Another shot, another soldier, then silence. The alien moved faster than human eyes could follow, closing the distance without making a sound. And then it vanished, leaving only a faint shimmer where it had stood. Back in the observation deck, Mara clenched her fists. They can't be killed, at least, not with anything we have, she said grimly. We're going to have to think smarter. But even as she spoke, a new realization struck her. The aliens weren't just invaders. They were studying humanity, learning how people think, how they react under fear, how they survive. And that meant every action, every panic, every small decision was feeding into their plan. Mara knew one thing for sure: humanity's survival depended on understanding the enemy. And understanding the enemy meant risk, courage, and perhaps sacrifices no one was ready for. Far above, the largest ship opened its glowing doorway again, sending another pulse toward Earth. This one felt different, more urgent, more demanding. Mara could feel it even from orbit. The aliens wanted a response, and the planet had no choice but to give it. On the ground, the soldiers regrouped. Their faces were pale, their movements slow. Every step toward the alien meant confronting the impossible. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a small spark of human defiance burned. They may not understand the aliens. They may not be able to fight them with weapons. But they could survive. They could resist. And somewhere in the ships, the aliens noticed. Because in the universe, every action, every heartbeat, every choice mattered, and Earth was about to show that even against nightmares, humanity could fight in ways no one expected. The morning air in Kansas was thick with silence. The town had become a ghost, empty streets littered with broken cars and shattered windows. The humans who had survived the first encounter now faced something even more terrifying. The knowledge that the aliens could strike at any moment, anywhere. Lieutenant Mara James monitored the situation from orbit, watching the drones feed live images. Every movement on the ground was like a chess move against an opponent who thought in ways humans could not. Mara's stomach twisted with fear, but also with determination. She knew that understanding the enemy was the only chance they had. On the ground, Captain Reynolds gathered his team. "We have one advantage," he said quietly. "They may be powerful, but they're not invincible. We just need to find a pattern, a weakness. Watch the ground, watch the air, and stay calm. That's the only thing they can't control, our minds." The team advanced cautiously. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound amplified. The strange shimmering darkness where the alien pulse had hit still lingered, moving slightly, as if it had a life of its own. Soldiers avoided it, but the captain couldn't. Something about the shimmer drew him closer, and instinctively, he reached out. Before he could touch it, the alien appeared again. This time, it wasn't alone. Smaller shapes emerged from the larger ship above, moving silently, forming patterns around the humans. They were studying, observing, and testing limits. The soldiers fired, but the bullets went through them, harmless. Fear surged through the team, but Captain Reynolds stood firm. Mara watched, feeling a strange connection through the drones. The aliens seemed aware of her presence, almost like they could feel her thoughts. She clenched her fists. "We can't fight them with guns," she said aloud. "We need strategy, patience, and courage." Then, something unexpected happened. The alien nearest to the soldiers paused, its glowing patterns pulsing slowly. The thoughts in the humans' minds shifted, not just fear, but confusion, curiosity, even hesitation. The soldiers sensed it too. It was as if the aliens were testing something deeper than strength. Morality, decision-making, the human spirit itself. Captain Reynolds spoke firmly, "We don't run. We don't fight blindly. We survive. We show them we are not weak." The words rippled through the team, steadying them. Mara felt the same resolve in her own chest. Humanity had never faced something like this, but they had survived worse odds before. Suddenly, the largest ship above made a low hum, resonating through the ground and air. It was more than sound, it was a signal, a command, a warning. The humans felt it in their bones. The smaller aliens responded instantly, moving faster, almost as if the pulse had given them new instructions. One soldier screamed as a shadowy figure passed through him, not touching but passing so close that it seemed to steal the warmth from his body. The team froze. Death, or something like it, was close. But Captain Reynolds pushed forward. "Step together. Don't break formation." Mara realized something critical. The aliens reacted to fear. Every hesitation, every scream, every doubt made them stronger, more confident. But courage, resolve, and calmness seemed to confuse them, slow them down. Humans had a weapon the aliens hadn't accounted for, the human mind, untamed by fear. A plan formed quickly in Mara's mind. She directed the drones to create illusions, patterns of movement, lights, and shadows that confused the alien senses. The soldiers on the ground mirrored these movements, stepping in sync, using strategy instead of bullets. The alien nearest to them paused, glancing back at the others, almost as if warning them. And then it happened. A small explosion of energy, controlled and precise, forced the aliens to retreat briefly. It wasn't much, but it was enough to give the humans breathing room. Mara felt a flicker of hope for the first time since the invasion began. But hope was dangerous. The largest ship above still loomed, silent but ominous. Its glowing doorway seemed to pulse with a rhythm that threatened the entire planet. Mara knew this was only the beginning. The aliens were learning, adapting, and planning. Humanity's fight had just begun. On the ground, Captain Reynolds looked at his team. "We survived today," he said quietly, "but tomorrow, we may face something worse. Stay strong. Think smart. And never forget, this is our home, and we will not surrender." As the sun set, casting long shadows across the devastated town, Mara felt the weight of the coming days. The aliens were not just invaders, they were intelligent predators, testing every human limit. But humanity had a spark no alien could take: courage, defiance, and the will to survive. And somewhere in the darkness above, the aliens noticed. Because when nightmares arrive, the real fight is not just for survival, it is for the soul of a planet. The night fell over Kansas like a heavy blanket, but it brought no comfort. The streets, empty and silent, seemed to breathe with an unseen presence. Humans who survived the first encounters stayed inside, whispering to each other, trying to make sense of what they had seen. But Mara James knew there was no sense in this. The aliens did not follow human logic, they followed something darker, smarter, and far more patient. From orbit, Mara could see the largest ship pulsing like a heartbeat. Every glow, every flicker, sent a shiver down her spine. It was preparing for something. She could feel it. The smaller ships on the ground moved in patterns that suggested not random searching but calculation. The aliens were learning, and humans were still improvising. On the ground, Captain Reynolds led a reconnaissance team toward the town's center. Broken vehicles littered the streets. The lingering shimmer of alien energy twisted in the moonlight, moving like living shadows. Every step was cautious, measured, yet every shadow seemed to twist just out of reach, watching them. Suddenly, the ground trembled. Not like an earthquake, but like the planet itself was responding to something above. Mara adjusted the station's sensors. The largest ship had opened the glowing doorway wider than before. Light spilled across the land, cutting through the darkness, painting everything in harsh white. And then they saw it. From the doorway emerged creatures unlike anything humans had seen. They were taller than humans, their limbs elongated and elegant, their skin glimmering like liquid metal. But it wasn't just appearance, it was presence. Every movement carried intelligence and malice. These were the true invaders, not the smaller scouting shapes, but the soldiers of the alien armada. Captain Reynolds froze. "Stay together. Keep formation," he barked, but even his voice carried doubt. Mara watched through the drones as the alien soldiers moved in synchronization, steps precise, flowing, almost graceful, but deadly. And then, without warning, one of the soldiers raised a hand. A wave of energy rippled out, invisible at first, but instantly the humans felt it, a mental assault, as if thoughts themselves were being crushed. Panic surged in the team. Weapons felt heavy, movements slowed, and the smallest fears became impossible to ignore. Mara's heart raced. She realized the aliens had evolved. They were no longer just studying, they were attacking minds directly, preying on fear and doubt. Every hesitation, every thought of escape, strengthened the aliens' hold. But humans had one secret the aliens didn't understand: cooperation. Captain Reynolds shouted, "Focus on each other. Not fear. We survive together." The soldiers gripped hands, communicated silently, and forced their minds into focus. The effect was immediate. The alien energy wave weakened, slowed, faltered. It had expected terror, but instead, it met defiance. Mara's eyes scanned the battlefield. The aliens were adapting, analyzing, learning faster than humans could anticipate. But the humans were not powerless. Small sparks of strategy began to appear. Drones used to create decoys, reflective surfaces to confuse the energy waves, teamwork to shield weaker members. Every move forced the aliens to pause, giving the humans precious seconds to survive. Then came the unexpected. One alien soldier reached down and touched the ground. The shimmer of energy spread instantly, creeping toward the humans like a living shadow. Captain Reynolds realized this was more than attack, it was transformation. Buildings touched by the energy began to twist and bend unnaturally. Cars melted and reshaped into strange forms. Trees convulsed as if alive. The town itself became a weapon in the hands of the aliens. Mara gasped. "They're changing the environment, turning everything into part of them," she whispered. "They don't just want Earth, they want to remake it." On the ground, the humans ran, dodging the shifting streets, leaping over warped cars and shattered walls. Their strategy was simple. Move, adapt, survive. But with every step, the aliens' presence became more oppressive, more intelligent, more terrifying. Yet, even in the darkness, a spark of hope glimmered. Mara saw it through the drones. A small child had appeared from one of the hiding spots. The aliens paused, observing. Something about innocence, unpredictability, and raw courage seemed to confuse them. The humans realized it wasn't just strategy, they could use creativity, emotion, and unpredictability as weapons. The largest ship above pulsed again. Its energy waves felt like a drumbeat of impending doom. Mara knew this battle was far from over. The aliens had revealed their true power, their ability to warp reality and invade minds. Humanity had survived the first wave, but now the real nightmare had begun. And somewhere deep in the alien minds, a question lingered. Could humans truly be unpredictable, unbreakable, and relentless enough to resist? Because when nightmares walk the earth, survival is only the first step. The fight for the soul of the planet was just beginning. The morning after the alien soldiers arrived, Kansas looked like a battlefield from another world. Streets twisted unnaturally, buildings leaned like they were alive, and strange pulses of energy shimmered across every surface. The humans who survived the first night now faced something more terrifying than before, an enemy that could change reality itself. Lieutenant Mara James watched from orbit, heart pounding. Through the drones, she saw the soldiers moving in perfect coordination, adapting to every human move. But she also noticed something new: hesitation. The aliens, despite their power, were confused by unpredictability. Humans were not machines, they could improvise, act on instinct, and think creatively. Captain Reynolds gathered his team in what remained of the town square. "They are strong," he said, voice tight. "But not unbeatable. We've learned something: they react to fear, hesitation, and routine. If we stay unpredictable, we can survive, and fight back." The team moved quickly, using the twisted streets to their advantage. Mara guided them with drones, showing blind spots, safe paths, and areas where the alien energy pulses slowed. Humans had never relied on technology and intuition like this, and now, every step was a careful mix of planning and improvisation. Suddenly, a wave of alien energy swept toward them. The soldiers froze, expecting their minds to be invaded. But Captain Reynolds held up his hand. "Focus. Don't think of fear." The humans linked arms and focused on breathing, steadying their minds. The energy pulse collided with them, but instead of crushing them, it fizzled, weakening as human courage and concentration resisted its force. Mara smiled, a spark of hope lighting her eyes. "It works. They can't control us if we don't let them." The humans took advantage of the moment. Small, precise attacks followed. Drones distracted the alien soldiers, reflective surfaces redirected energy pulses, and quick movements kept the aliens guessing. Every strike was careful, calculated, and designed to confuse rather than kill. Then came the turning point. One alien soldier moved to touch the twisted streets, attempting to spread its energy. Captain Reynolds shouted, "Now!" Soldiers pushed heavy debris, blocking the alien's path and trapping it temporarily. The alien struggled, its pulsing patterns flickering as if surprised. For the first time, humans had forced hesitation in the enemy. Mara realized something crucial. The aliens' intelligence was powerful, but not limitless. They could learn, but they could also be tricked. The humans' unpredictability, their creativity, their courage, and even their emotions became weapons the aliens hadn't accounted for. The battle continued across the town. Alien soldiers moved with grace and deadly precision, but humans adapted. They used shadows, reflections, and misdirection to create illusions, confusing the aliens' perception. Soldiers worked in teams, communicating silently, always anticipating, always improvising. Above, the largest ship pulsed like a heartbeat, watching, waiting. Mara's mind raced. The ship was sending instructions, perhaps trying to coordinate its soldiers, perhaps testing humans' reactions. But she noticed something subtle. The ship seemed to falter when humans acted unpredictably, when they refused to follow expected patterns. Captain Reynolds and his team pushed deeper into the town. Every corner was dangerous, every building a potential trap. But humans had discovered a key truth. Courage, creativity, and collaboration were more powerful than fear. Every move they made chipped away at the aliens' confidence, forcing them to adapt constantly. And then, in the center of the town, they found something unexpected, a device left behind by the aliens, pulsing faintly with energy. Mara studied it through the drones. "It's a control unit," she whispered. "If we can disable it, we can slow their influence over the environment, and maybe even the soldiers themselves." The humans exchanged determined looks. They had survived the first wave. They had resisted mental attacks. And now, they had a chance to strike a real blow. For the first time, hope was not just a spark, it was a strategy. But Mara knew better than to celebrate too soon. The aliens were intelligent, patient, and relentless. Disabling the device might work, or it could trigger something far worse. The nightmare was far from over, and the planet's fate still hung in balance. Yet, even in the shadow of fear and destruction, the humans moved forward. They were learning, adapting, and fighting back. And somewhere above, the aliens noticed. Because when humans decide to resist, even against impossible odds, nightmares themselves can start to falter. The night was heavy, thick with tension. Kansas, once a normal town, had become a battlefield of shadows and light. Twisted buildings leaned as if alive, streets shimmered with alien energy, and the air itself seemed to hum with danger. Lieutenant Mara James watched from orbit, heart pounding. This was the moment everything would change. One wrong step and humanity might lose. Captain Reynolds crouched behind a shattered wall, his team spread around him. At the center of the town pulsed the alien control unit. It glowed faintly, casting long, flickering shadows. Mara's drone feed showed small tendrils of energy reaching out, moving like snakes, reacting to every human motion. One wrong move, and the device could overwhelm them all. "Remember," Reynolds whispered to the team, "we move together. Slow, steady, coordinated. Fear is their weapon. Don't give it to them." The humans advanced carefully, every step measured. The alien soldiers watched from the shadows, but for the first time, they hesitated. The humans' unpredictability, their creative maneuvers, had forced even these powerful invaders to pause. It was a small victory, but it mattered. Mara guided the drones to create distractions. Shadows moved in impossible patterns, lights flickered and danced, making the aliens hesitate further. The control unit pulsed stronger, sensing the human's presence, reacting like a living creature. Energy tendrils lashed out, striking the ground and melting cars, but the team moved with precision, avoiding contact. Reynolds signaled two soldiers to approach the unit from opposite sides. Mara's voice crackled in their earpieces. "Go slow. Wait for the pulse to weaken, now." The soldiers lunged. Sparks flew. The tendrils writhed, trying to defend the device, but the humans had learned its rhythm. One soldier slammed a magnetic disruptor against the unit. It hissed, sparks bursting from its surface, but it didn't collapse. The aliens recoiled slightly, confusion flickering in their patterns. Mara gasped. It's working. Keep pushing. But then, the largest ship above pulsed violently. The ground trembled. Shadows twisted unnaturally, reaching out toward the humans. The alien soldiers rallied, moving with terrifying speed to defend the device. The battle became chaos, lightning-fast movements, energy pulses, and desperate dodges. Every second was a fight for life. Reynolds yelled, "Hold formation. Focus on the unit." Soldiers shielded each other, working as one. Sparks flew from the disruptor, and slowly, the tendrils retracted. The unit's glow flickered, dimmed slightly, then pulsed violently once more, stronger than before. The aliens were adapting, but the humans weren't giving up. Mara's mind raced. She saw a pattern in the pulses, a brief moment when the unit's energy shifted, just long enough for a precise strike. "Now, hit it with everything you've got," she ordered. The soldiers combined their disruptors, focusing every ounce of energy at the exact moment. The control unit shuddered, tendrils quivering, then exploded in a flash of light. The shockwave threw the humans backward, but the alien influence over the environment vanished. Streets returned to their natural form, and the twisted buildings stilled. For the first time, humans had won a real victory. The alien soldiers hesitated, confused. The device that had coordinated their attacks was gone, and without it, their movements became uncoordinated, their energy pulses weaker. Humans saw the opening. They pressed forward, pushing the aliens back, reclaiming small pieces of the town one street at a time. Mara's heart raced with hope, but she knew the danger wasn't over. The largest ship above still loomed, pulsing ominously. The aliens had been forced to adapt, but they were patient, intelligent, and relentless. Today was a victory. Tomorrow could be worse. Reynolds surveyed the battlefield, his team battered but alive. "We did it for now," he said quietly. "But they're still out there. They'll learn, they'll adapt, and we need to be ready." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't wait for them. We keep moving, learning, fighting back. We've seen their weakness, their over-reliance on control. We use that. Every step, every plan, every human mind can be a weapon." The survivors regrouped, exhausted but determined. They had faced the aliens' mental attacks, their environmental manipulation, and their deadly precision, and survived. For the first time, humanity realized they weren't powerless. They could resist, fight back, and perhaps even win. Above, the largest ship pulsed once more, slower now, as if studying the humans. Mara could almost feel it thinking, calculating, adjusting. The aliens had been forced to reconsider their approach. And that gave humanity a chance. Just enough. Because when nightmares think they are in control, a spark of courage, strategy, and unity can ignite a resistance that even the universe cannot ignore. The sky burned with unnatural light as the largest alien ship hovered over the town. Its pulsing doorway glowed wider than ever before, casting a shadow that swallowed streets and buildings alike. Lieutenant Mara James gripped the observation console, her eyes locked on the feed from the ground. Humanity had survived the first waves, disabled the control unit, and pushed back the alien soldiers. But this was the final test. Captain Reynolds and his team moved through the town, battered and weary. Every street they crossed, every building they entered, reminded them that the world had changed forever. But the fire in their hearts burned stronger than fear. Today, they would either strike the final blow or face extinction. Mara's drone scanned the ship from orbit, analyzing patterns, energy flows, and weak points. She noticed something small, almost imperceptible. A slight flicker in the ship's energy pulses, a rhythm that suggested vulnerability. "Reynolds," she said urgently through comms, "there's a pattern in the pulses. If you time your attack, you can strike the ship's core directly." Reynolds nodded. "Understood. We move together. This ends today." On the ground, humans advanced cautiously. Alien soldiers emerged, more numerous than before, their movements coordinated by what remained of the ship's influence. But even they faltered when the humans acted unpredictably. Mara guided the team through blind spots, distractions, and tactical maneuvers. Each strike, each dodge, each move was calculated, learned from their previous encounters. The largest alien soldier stepped forward, towering over the humans. Its limbs glimmered like liquid metal, its presence exuded intelligence and malice. Captain Reynolds raised his disruptor and shouted, "No fear! Remember what we've learned. Stay unpredictable." The alien soldier attacked, sending waves of mental energy that threatened to crush human minds. But the soldiers focused together, channeling courage and unity as a shield. The waves faltered, slowed, and then dissipated. The humans pressed forward, forcing the alien soldier back step by step. Meanwhile, Mara identified the exact moment to strike the ship's core. Timing was critical. One pulse too early, one move too late, and the humans could be obliterated. She guided Reynolds and his team with precise instructions, counting down every second. 3, 2, 1, now. Mara shouted. The humans struck. A coordinated barrage of disruptors, drones, and energy pulses hit the flickering point Mara had identified. Sparks erupted, light exploded, and the ground trembled. The alien ship shuddered violently, its doorway narrowing, the energy waves flickering and weakening. The alien soldiers froze, their patterns faltering. The humans pressed the attack relentlessly. Step by step, they forced the aliens back toward the ship, exploiting every hesitation, every confusion. The largest soldier roared, a sound that seemed to pierce the air itself, but the humans refused to retreat. Finally, the ship pulsed one last time, a high-pitched vibration that resonated in every bone. Then, with a blinding flash, it began to collapse inward, the glowing doorway imploding like a star dying. The alien soldiers dissolved into shadows, retreating, disappearing into the void above. The town was silent. The nightmare was over. Mara exhaled, relief washing over her. From orbit, she saw the remains of the town, twisted but standing. The humans on the ground emerged cautiously from cover, faces dirty, bruised, but alive. Captain Reynolds lowered his disruptor, looking up at the sky. "It's finished," he whispered. Yet, in that moment of triumph, Mara knew the universe would always hold threats. But today, humans had proven something extraordinary. Courage, unity, and intelligence could overcome even the most terrifying forces. The aliens had thought Earth would be easy prey, a planet to conquer. Instead, they had awakened the full strength of humanity. Children came out of hiding, looking up at the sky with wide eyes. Soldiers helped civilians, and for the first time in days, laughter and tears mingled in the streets. Humanity had survived, not because of advanced technology alone, but because of the human spirit, unpredictable, resilient, and unbreakable. Captain Reynolds turned to his team. "We've lost a lot, but we've gained something more important. We survived. We fought back. And we showed the universe that Earth doesn't bow to nightmares." Mara smiled faintly, watching the drones sweep over the town. The sky was clearing, stars beginning to shine again. She knew there would be other threats, other aliens, other challenges, but humanity had learned a lesson stronger than any weapon. Courage, intelligence, and unity could change the fate of a planet. Above, the remnants of the alien fleet vanished into the void, leaving only silence. For now, Earth was safe. And humans had earned the right to rebuild, to live, and to dream again. Because sometimes, when the universe sends its worst nightmares, it underestimates the one force it cannot control: the human heart.